Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. I got Coach Gu here, and I got somebody here that's going to go on a racket journey.
Is that you or me?
Stay tuned. All right, guys, racket journey time. I think I'm pretty happy with my Blackout Extendeds currently, and I emphasize the word currently. No, guys, just kidding. I'm pretty happy with it. But Coach Gu seems to be questioning his rackets right now.
I don't think questioning. I'm thinking of trying.
We're trying. We're testing the waters.
Yes.
We're trying to get our toe wet here. So what brought on this new racket journey here?
I mean, I think the biggest thing was, I think it was just personal taste and feel. I think after playing KPSF with my Technofiber TF40 with the new line, I think I was lacking a little bit of something. I've been lacking a little bit maybe of a bigger sweet spot that I'm not used to. Being a blade user and with all my other current rackets, I did like a sweet spot that's a little bigger and more forgiving, especially with the TF40, with all the customizations I've done with it. I try to make it like the sweet spot as big as possible, but it didn't provide the same amount of, the same amount of effect that I thought I would do.
Okay.
If that made sense.
Right. If you guys don't know, the TF40 line in the Technofibers is a box beam. So it's a squared off beam here. It's got about a 65 in terms of a flex, so it is kind of medium to low in terms of power. Coach Gu added weight to the top of the head.
And then we added to the grip as well, too.
And then we added some weight underneath the handle, too, just to balance it out. I felt like we got you to the right weight, balance, and swing weight.
Yeah.
But you were still missing something.
I think the biggest thing was just, I think we were trying to mimic the weight, but it was just the sweet spot I was missing. I mean, I think I generated the same amount of power. I think it's like after a while you'd be playing with the racket for at least 6 or 7 months, you should have a really good idea of how the racket feels. So for me, there's days where I just feel like it's okay, it's incredible, it feels great. But there's some days it's like, oh, it's a little tough to find the sweet spot. And I think it's not because of like the square, like the head size or anything. It's just how it plays at the end of the day.
Right, got it.
So most players have a preference of which racket they love the most. For us, or for me, fortunately, I don't have the privilege to keep the same mold racket as most players in the market today. So it's typical for us to try different rackets. So yeah, I mean, I think what helps me kind of go on these journeys is because it's the excitement of finding that nice racket or that racket that's to your game style, like to everyone's game style, right? So as you can tell, like we're in a period now where all the companies' rackets are doing really well. So everyone's trying to compete for the best racket possible, and it's heading the right direction.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think this is a great time to try. I think everyone has something to bring on the table, and it's good to have an open mind, I would say.
We're at the golden age of tennis rackets, is what I've been saying for like a year now. Everybody who's making updated versions of their rackets are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, definitely.
So I remember about 7 months ago when you started asking me, hey, can I try a Solinco Whiteout 305? Can I try a Whiteout 305 extended? Can I try a Technofiber 305 T-Fight with the IsoFlex when it first came out? And I'm like, Gu, why are you trying all these rackets for? It's like, just kind of want to try. And I feel like that's how these journeys start. When you want to try, you're looking at something else. You're looking at something new. You want to touch and feel something else, versus hanging on to what you got.
This is where the conversation gets really weird here. Huh?
So So I feel like we're at the point where you're going to narrow it down already because we've tried the 305, the Medvedev racket.
We all try. I think it's not our favorite. That's our least favorite one.
Right.
Out of the bunch.
So Goose tried 5 so far, and we've already eliminated the 305. The new T-Fight 315 though with the ISOFlex.
That's a game changer.
Definitely a contender.
Definitely a contender. Definitely it was up in my top 3 for sure.
Right. So as you guys may know, the T-Fight series has a more rounded kind of a beam, and it is stiffer. So it's in the higher 60s, therefore providing coach with more power.
Yeah.
We really like that 315.
Yes.
So, but why don't you like it now or not choose it right now?
I wouldn't say I didn't choose it. I think it's something maybe I could play with, customizing it wise. It did feel light on the head, even though the weight distribution did change and it felt a lot better. I felt like it was lacking more on the head part. Like the weight transfer wasn't going all the way through the head. I think both of us did express that.
Right.
It really didn't go all the way through the head. It kind of stayed.
Need a lot more lead.
It needs a lot more lead, and I don't know if I'm willing to, how can I say it, spend more time on it.
Right.
I think, especially when you're adding weight to a racket, it's a lot of, like, first, the racket itself, you have to experiment for a while, but adding weight is the same process. You're trying to experiment more and more with the racket. And sometimes adding weight to a racket doesn't benefit it.
Right, no.
Right? So it's about really trial and error with rackets. That's why for pros, it's a lot easier because all they have is the same mold and a different paint job every single time.
Right.
But for us, as the consumer aspect of it, every racket changes. Every update will change. So you don't even know you're guaranteed another racket. So a perfect example is the DR, the Yonex 98 E-Zone DR. When they started touching with that and started messing around with it, just imagine how many people left that racket away. Right. It was completely different. So for us, or at least from my experience, that's why we go all these racket journeys. I mean, there's part of me that wishes that goes back to the blade, but the blade is not the same anymore.
It's not different animal.
Same. It's a whole different breed, right? Every update will change, right? Like I love the K factors and version I think 6, which is countervail.
5, 6,
5, 4, 5,
4,
6, yeah. Around those eras were in my opinion, the greatest of the blades. But now it's a completely different racket, and there's a reason why I steer away from it nowadays.
The one that you were certain you thought you would like, and you kept asking me for it, was that whiteout extended.
Yes, I did. And there's a reason why I looked at the whiteout extended first, is because when I started my tennis career, I played with, if you guys remember, the first generation of technically called the Aero Pro was the pure spin, I think. So it was like basically the Babolat pure spin that Nadal started with.
Right. The black one?
The black one with the little blue right there.
Right.
The font was blue. And it was the extended version. That's the one I used. And back in the day, extended versions were kind of common in my opinion.
Very much so.
Yeah, they're pretty common because the reason why is, of course, you have the grip length. It extends a little more. It provided more flexibility, in my opinion. That gave it the control it needed.
You needed to swing bigger, though.
You did need to swing bigger, but it was a well-balanced racket compared to like a normal, like standard racket, right? It's like a different breed on its own. It's a different animal. But I felt like if you use the extended version, it's the closest you could get to a pro's feel.
Mm-hmm. So you and me were the same, because I used a long one like for 16 years.
Yeah, I used that racket for almost 4 years before switching to the other version of the Aero Pro, which is the Cortex version.
Got it. So that one is still in the running. The extended.
That's still in the running. This is still in the running.
And then you asked me for the standard 305 after that.
Yes, I did ask you for the standard 305. We did try this out, And we all loved it. We all loved it. We all loved the extended version as well. I think I'm to a point where I enjoyed the regular now because all my rackets I played with from my junior to my collegiate and post-grad was all normal 305s. So I'm so used to the standard weight. I think Solinco did a good job with the grip, at least, the grip length, because it's in the right realm. It's not like too small or too like kind of like I'm squeezing in. I can still come up a little bit and get away with it. Actually, you can tell here. I actually weighted it. You can tell the contenders are weighted through both sides, right? You can see it on 12, 3, and 9. They're all weighted, so nothing has changed. So if I was playing with it, there's a reason why it's kind of a contender.
Right.
I started messing around with this a lot more. It's just maybe because it's so familiar. It reminded me more of the blade. I call this basically a blade and a strike made a baby. This would basically be it. It has the precision of a blade and the feel of a blade, but it has the power of a strike. But a little more toned down. A little more toned down.
Got it.
But with the weight and stuff, I customize. I'm still playing with the weight here, just figure it out. This is definitely a top 3 contender in my books.
Let's also talk about the weight that we can easily put in the butt.
So Solinco now they have a piece now for the butt cap that adds weight. And it's actually surprisingly, it does really well. It comes in 5 grams and 10 grams, correct?
Yep.
So I only put 5 grams in here, and it actually makes a difference. I haven't weighed this racket yet, but it should, with the strings on, it's around 345 in my opinion.
Right.
It's probably
that
pretty
sounds
heavy.
about right.
So I might play around to make it a little lighter, maybe around 335 or 340. But no, this racket is something I'm definitely interested in and looking towards. And Solinco actually did a great job with both of their rackets. This year. Really
and then the newest one in their line is the 1820, which we just broke the string on.
Yeah, and
it's still in the line.
It's still in the line, and I think it's just, like I said, it's probably the best 1820 rackets I've ever used. It's definitely up there for sure. The reason why is we both said that it does not play like an 1820. It's actually very easy to play with. Flattening out is very easy because it was a bigger string pattern, but creating spin is super easy with this racket, which I was very shocked about. Creating spin, slicing through. The feel on this racket is actually pretty well thought through. And usually with 1820s, it's pretty head heavy. This is actually balanced really well for what it is. But yeah, I really love that racket, like this racket as well. I'm not an 1820 user, unfortunately, so that's why it's a little bit out of the runnings for me. But if I was interested in playing it and trying an 1820 again and maybe getting into it, this would be a consideration for sure.
Got it. So your rackets that are still in the running is basically just a 305, 1619?
The 305, 1619, 315 of the T-Fight.
Okay.
I still want to maybe try to customize it and see how it is.
Okay.
Maybe I'll stay loyal for one more year.
Okay. All right.
But I'm a free agent, so I can get to try.
Extended still in?
Extended, I'm leaning a little bit away from it for right now. It's maybe I'm leaving it in the freezer just in case.
Got it.
It needs to be. But my top 3 right now is definitely the whiteout 16x19 regular, T-Fight 315. And then the whiteout extended 16x19.
So we got 3 left in the running.
Yeah.
We will keep you posted.
Or we can surprise them later. And we'll see. You can look at my page and see what kind of company I follow afterwards.
Okay. All right. We'll let Coach Goo post this one first.
Then we can do a follow-up video.
And then we could do a follow video on what he actually chose.
Yes.
Okay, but this may be a little ways, okay?
Yeah.
But we'll let Coach Goo post this one first. All right. Coach Goo, thank you for sharing your racket journey with us.
No, thank you for inviting me and getting to share my story.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at agu.tennis. I'll also be posting content there as well.
All right, guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Do you go on the court and play mindlessly, not knowing what you're doing? Not knowing how you're going to win? Do you just counterpunch whatever's coming at you? Are you the counterpuncher or are you the aggressor? Do you know when to run a play? The singles playbook and the doubles playbook will tell you exactly how to do that. My man Will at Fuzzy Yellow Balls wrote these books with his many years of experience of teaching and collaborating with pros to easily teach you how to run a tennis play. It's as easy as that. Check out the plays on these books. There's a QR code you can scan, and it'll show you in a video how to do it. Then you can practice it, run your play, and win your point. Check it out at Fuzzy Yellow Balls. Link is below.